Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Creator Aspect. Here this week on the podcast, we have Argon. Welcome. What an honor.
Yo,
We
what's up,
have
man?
the Argon. Let's go.
No
Let's
way.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome to the podcast. It is a pleasure to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, you've been involved in like a ton of stuff recently. I keep seeing you everywhere, so I'm like, I should have you on.
Yeah, I've been a bit of everywhere recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
But you know
whole
how it is.
bio, your whole bio is just a bunch of ads to
Oh
things
no.
you've been on.
Don't look at my bio. Oh yeah. That's actually about to get updated. There's like 3 more things to put on, but
3 more things?
Oh my
secret
god,
stuff
more?
we'll reveal later. Yeah.
Oh, you got
Yeah.
MC Prom, which was like a massive success. You got like TubNet. I'm pretty sure you're literally the CEO of Button Presents.
Yep,
Which,
that's it.
yeah. So yeah, you're in a ton of stuff. Of course, MC Prom was a pretty big deal. Well, is a pretty big deal. It got on like Twitter trending for a bit, I think.
Yeah, I did a little bit. It was dope.
Why do you think MC Prom was such a successful event, and how do you think you can replicate that same success in the future?
In terms of the success, it went as planned to some degree. Personally, as a creator or as a creator of anything, you have to kind of strict on yourself. In my opinion, it was a success, but it had some critical mistakes because there was a few crashes in the beginning of the event,
Oh.
unfortunately, due to actually a bunch of entities. Including the
Mhm.
balloons, which we had a cosmetic system for. It looked great. Everybody
Yeah.
put on a fucking minion balloon. And
Wow.
150 people in one room with that was not a great idea. But aside from
Mm.
that, it went flawlessly after we disabled the minions, which was a little funny. And from then on out, I think the main reason people consider it a success or at least had fun is because honestly, it looked good. It was just
Yeah.
genuinely fun. It's not like the game concepts were crazy. There's no revolutionary new version of Bed Wars on this server. It simply was
Hmm.
simple. People had some fun games. They tried their best, and it just kind of like ran well. It looked good. It was just
Hmm.
how an event really should be. You know what I mean? You get
Yeah.
on, you have fun with your friends, and you just enjoyed the fucking day, basically. So
Definitely. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's definitely the more key takeaway from MC Prom. It just looked great, which was
Yeah.
incredibly done by our models team, our art team at Dot Wave. Just an incredible help of Jellybean for funding the entire thing. Like
Hmm.
honestly, it was just a marvel to look at.
Yeah. Definitely. Of
Yeah,
course.
that
I'm.
was.
Mhm.
Wait, yeah, you're planning on making more of MC Prom, right? Isn't it a yearly thing?
It is now confirmed to be a yearly event. It's
Hmm.
actually quite interesting because I'll actually get into this. If you didn't know, my first ever event was MC Prom 1. This actually
Oh.
counts as MC Prom 2. MC Prom 1 was exactly a year ago from a year and a month, ago. And basically, it
Nice.
was my first ever event concept with Will Created. And we thought, wow, COVID sucks. We're all bummed out at our prom from high school because we were both in the same grade. Just
Hmm.
completely didn't happen. And we're like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's just do it in Minecraft. Why not? And it was really funny. And honestly, there were a lot of like flaws with the first event because again, it was my first one. But
Yeah.
overall, people enjoyed their time because again, it had that same pretty aesthetic to it. It definitely stood out from the rest back then. Just the
Hmm.
only thing that probably was wrong is that there were no games. It was just a bunch of singing. You kind of were hanging around there. At the end of the
Hmm.
day, people chill. And yeah, it was just interesting to see, where it went from there because from MC Prom 1 to MC Prom 2, you can tell that there are actually a lot of differences. So it was definitely a nice and nostalgic journey for me to like look at that event and think, wow, how far we've come. But yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I was just about to bring that up with MC Prom. I'm pretty sure you did it last year as well because I remember
Hmm.
hearing a ton about that when like I was making Minecraft content last year. Um
Yeah.
yeah. Would you ever consider like doing another one of your events that you've done in the past again like that?
Actually, I am allowed to leak this out.
Yo,
The
early
Crafties
leaks.
Award
Mhm.
was a fun event. And you know what? Honestly, personally, aesthetically, it was amazing. I mean, the
Yeah.
Golden Royal Award theme, I loved working with that. It was simple, it was nice to do, there wasn't much development work. You just go in there, you announce the awards through a voting system. A problem with that though is honestly to run an award show is very difficult, especially to make that fair. Which let's be honest, the truth of this world is there are no fair award shows. Everyone deserves credit. Let's be honest. And to be quite fair, it's very hard to make that work in a PR capacity. Otherwise, it would have been very fun to do. And I actually was planning on making a Crafty sequel by the end of this year, but unfortunately, I think just the concept needs to be think, and basically we are considering turning it into something else. But more news on that later.
So, yeah, of course, you've been involved in other big projects, notably like TubNet. How did you like manage to get yourself into the position where you're working with TubNet when you've only been doing events for around a year?
Well, yeah, it's been a very short-lived career so far, but it's definitely going to be very beneficial in the future. But overall, it's mostly because I like to think the branding of those events have done very well. For a guy who does done events for 1 year compared to someone like Pika Kliss who've done them for 8 years, I think the marketing has done very well for myself. And I'm a little lucky to say that because honestly, a lot of big creators have come to Crafties and MC Prom, and I've gathered basically clips, and I made a portfolio on my website called Argon.works, and that portfolio has helped me a bunch because at the end of the day, it's very important to self-brand yourself in a way so people can see, what you do. And that's exactly what I did. I applied to TubNet. I said, hey, you look like you're doing something custom. I've done custom stuff for the past year now, and I definitely know how to make things look good. I could learn some things from you guys. It would be great if I could just like come on and see what's up, how I can help out aesthetically, how I can help out conceptually, see how things go. And apparently, that worked. I got an interview with Mike. I got an interview with Cherry. And we talked about Crafties. We talked about MC Prom. We talked about all these things. And you know what? They were like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, sick. Definitely.
Yeah, your quality assurance, right, in TubNet?
Yes, I'm a QA tester. And what that really means is just quality assurance tester, you're right. But it's a lot of mix of finding bugs and finding just aesthetic changes to do. Like, you're basically there to criticize. That's the whole point. And so we're basically just a dedicated tester group of the network to make sure things are ready for release, or obviously things in the beta ready for release as well, and we just kind of get there and group up and just test things out.
Yeah, very
Well,
very
before
nice.
the first MC Prom event, have you done anything else involving events? Like, what got you into events in the first place?
Yeah, so actually it's quite of an interesting story. I used to do a bunch of SMPs with my friends. I never really owned any of them. I just loved the idea of playing just normal survival with people. And eventually I was like, you know what? Why can't I make my own? And this was like way back 2 years ago. I decided to make my first one called SMP on Air, which
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, yes, that actually has a
you made
long
that?
history. Yes,
I
actually,
thought
great
it's
that
quite
was
journey.
interesting.
GAF1N.
No,
Oh.
no, no, no. I was the developer of that.
Mm.
Difference in ownership there. But
Okay,
essentially,
gotcha.
I developed things on the SMP, and I made some custom assets, which I actually first utilized because of plugin named Items Editor, which I just discovered. And I was like, you know what? Why can't I put this on SMP and have fun with my friends? And me and Jaywis, we concepted SMP on Air, and we ran with it. Now, if you guys want to look up on yourselves on what happened with that, you can. Some mismanagement and
Yeah.
all. But overall, I
Yeah.
do tend to, not shy away from mentioning it because you know what? It was a fun server. It had a lot of art. It had a lot of good assets in there. And at the very least, I could take credit for that and not all the other bullshit after. But hey, it was fun. And essentially, we actually copied that formula for a new SMP called Earthbound, which essentially has the same systems, has the same art. And now that's blossoming. It's doing great. The community is very strong, a very passionate and nice community of content creators. Everybody's having fun. And we went from there. But obviously, after the debacle of SMPs, or especially SMP on Air, I was like, you know what? I'm definitely done with SMPs after this one.
Fair
So I
enough.
decided, what
Yeah.
can I do to bring people together and just have fun? Because that's all I ever want, just to have some fun with my friends. And so I thought, you know what? Let's try events. And in an indirect way, it came back to me with Will created just randomly in the call one day, thinking, you know what, dude, let's just run prom. Let's just run prom and MC. Like, why the hell not? And we
Yeah.
did. And you know what? I love that concept of just having people together, giving content to the content creators, obviously, and just chilling in one certain place, just enjoying creations.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Did you have any inspiration while you were making the first events?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends because at the end of the day, I was very fortunate to find, my inherent staff team, I call it. Just a group of people, a modeler, an artist. Will Created was my co-conceptor of ideas, which he was a very motivational and very fun guy to work with. And essentially, we just came together, we banded together, and we just, planned out the whole thing. The modeler, I asked, hey, a prom should have a disco. So can you make a disco ball? And he popped off with the animation, made it spin, and I was like, wow, I'm blown away what you can do in Minecraft. And everybody agreed. And we kind of just, went with that art direction. I made sure to, criticize, in a constructive way, but to make sure that everything looked very good. And that vision I had in my head, I was fortunate enough to have people help translate that, to an actual environment, which was very fun to experience. And, everybody had fun.
Of course, you said earlier that with MC Prom, you're planning on making that a yearly event. How do you plan on taking it to the next level in the next few years and improving from last year and this year?
Well, overall, MC Prom is actually interestingly just a start. People like to credit that a lot, and to me, I just think, wow, really? That event? You guys have no idea what's in store. And that's fair because actually, before this recent MC Prom, the second iteration, I've been in kind of a silent mode for a while on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, everything. And I've just been kind of taking a break in terms of, announcing anything because you know what? In the background, I've been kind of having my training arc and the incredible amount of content out there that you guys are about to see is unfathomable. When
Mhm.
you guys saw MCC Island and TubNet, I'm sure everybody was blown away to some degree, but you know what? Even though those projects are absolutely incredible, there's just so much more coming, and it's just a matter of time. And I'm fortunate enough to see that stuff early and in the preview and in the background, which unfortunately I can't talk about today. But overall, it's very exciting because what MC Prom is to me, MC Prom, all it is just a trial run. It really is a setting of standards for my team saying, guys, look, this event right here, this is the minimum you should expect from now on because we are about to make some bangers. So yeah, overall, the third MC Prom, obviously I don't have any early concepts yet. I do want to make it a lot cooler, but just expect a lot more coming in the future because
Mhm.
there is so much in the background.
Yeah,
Wow,
definitely.
that sounds huge.
Oh yeah.
What do you see yourself in like a few years? Do you see yourself like still doing events, or do you like plan on doing other things?
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting because the industry hasn't been always the most lucrative compared to others. There's a lot of what do I call it? Freelance work in this industry, right? Especially in the early days. Now, obviously, if you want to get into business tactics, yeah, there's investors and there's a certain level of things that happen when you get into professional studios like Dot Wave or No Name. Sure, you can get to that point. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of like thought that comes into it. And you have to think, well, is this really going to be the thing I do for the rest of my life? And of course, probably not. But at the end of the day, I think it's a perfect testing bed to test out, game design, creativity, management. There's a lot of general skills that it takes to run an event in Minecraft. Because at the end of the day, it isn't just some, Minecraft game. At the end of the day, you're making an entire fledged, timelined project, all meant for a temporary play. You're essentially making a network level kind of quality game just for some content creators to hop on. If you really think about it, people take years to
Yeah.
make networks and servers, but the event industry, it's fast, it's quick. You get
Mhm.
a concept, you get it up, you put your team on it, and you try your best to make it perfect by the time it's ready. And it's just
Mhm.
an incredible thing to see. And so you get a lot of skill there, you get a lot of connections, and honestly, it's very easy to branch off from there. So yes, I do see myself doing events in the next few years, but I'm not sure how long. It'll definitely be a fun, insight into what else I can do and what else this turns into. So,
Yeah, definitely. How would you recommend someone in the community that is talented and wants to do events like you, but doesn't have those same connections and resources? How would you recommend them like getting to that next step and to start working on events?
well, I'm going to be niche and really cheesy, but super real. I started with absolutely nothing. Like, absolutely, like, I wasn't bored. It's a rich family. I didn't start being friends with Tubbo. You know what I mean? I literally started playing the game and thought, wow, honestly, I'm bored. Let me think of something that could be fun. You shouldn't worry too much about getting to that level of quality just yet if you're early. At the end of the
Mhm.
day, you take things slow and you take it like you have fun. It's the same thing as content creation. It's the same thing that, anything that involves art is basically the same thing. You just start small and you stay consistent, because at the end of the day, if you have fun doing it, there's not much of a reason it'll go bad, in my opinion. I think the best advice that I can give to someone running an event early: definitely take your time, because you know what, in the higher end kind of deal, there's a lot of deadlines you have to reach because of clients or sponsors, or a lot of investor kind of pressure, which makes sense. But if you're early, let's face it, you probably don't have to deal with those issues, and so really just take your time, take months, take a year if you have to, but just make it the best you can before you release it. Because if you start with scuffed events, which is totally fine too, I just think it would be better if you were to just prepare, because you have that luxury. As someone who's early in the industry, as someone who doesn't have to deal with all these arbitrary issues of funding and all that, you have the luxury to just take your time and just, perfect the craft. And from there on out, if you put your respect in your work, other people will see that and start to respect you. And as long as you self-brand, there's just naturally going to come to you that people will reach out. There's always going to be a new generation of something. At the end of the day, one day, the same event people that I know now that are popping off are going to stop doing events. And then there's going to be new people who are absolute legends, who are young and are just ambitious. In fact, there's an example I know,
Mhm.
Bumby Jake. I think you guys interviewed him recently,
Yo.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I consider him a part of the newer generation. He
Mhm.
literally did not do events until a couple months ago. Okay? And he literally just released MC Prom 2 and did basically the majority of the work there, which is incredible, to be honest. At the end of the day, it really is just about waiting for your turn and just taking your time, because you know what?
Yeah.
Your turn will come if you keep trying. I'm not going to lie. It sounds cheesy, but that's just the truth. Just keep
Mhm.
going. You will get there. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
totally.
of course, a big thing about making all of these events and making stuff in the Minecraft community is motivation.
Yes.
How do you sustain motivation?
Mm. This isn't even about Minecraft events anymore. We're going philosophy over here. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, motivation. It's a fickly thing. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people they tend to get this wrong at a lot of time. Like, you don't have to full force, any passion in general to make it work. You don't have to drop out of school. You don't have to ignore your loved ones and shut yourself in to make it work. There's no grind set to this right now, at least in the beginning. Because I think at the end of the day, what matters is that you stay healthy, you stay motivated, and you just have fun with it. Because there's no point in trying to force things. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do like it, I think honestly it's a very boring answer, but if you have fun, you're going to have motivation. There will be times where you are stressed out as hell. There are going to be, storms to things, essentially. There's going to be bad times, of course. But at the end of the day, if you deep down know that this is, the thing that you want to do, and you are motivated, or at least willing to finish it, then, I don't really see an issue with motivation ever. You just need to sit there, think about it. If you need mental breaks, please take those. If you're overworking yourself, it happens a lot. I literally have been through it like 3 times already. Take a break. It's not a big deal at the moment. You're still early, you're still young. Just take some time for yourself, and the motivation will come naturally. It's just something that your body will tell you, when it's time, essentially.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Have you made content in the past?
Actually, that's a bit of a less known,
Mhm.
fact, but I
Oh?
used to be a YouTuber. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
I barely scratched the surface of it. If I really tried, I'm confident enough to say that I think I do decently well, just because I have the
Yeah.
connections and know how YouTube works nowadays compared to my younger self. But at the end of the day, it's just not my thing. I tried it out,
Mhm.
and I feel like I just love making things for people in a less direct sense. You know what I mean? I don't really
Mhm.
want to make it about me with a video of like, hey guys, how's it going? I definitely like to make creations out of my head, like events, and I like other people enjoying them. And I love to involve other people in the process, like
Yeah.
teams, like Jake, like developers. It's just more of my thing. But yeah, I used to make a few videos. You can actually check them out right
Mhm.
now on my channel. Not advertising. This is more of a funny thing in my
Yeah,
opinion.
let's
Yeah,
go.
I'm pretty sure I got DMCA strikes on 3 of them because I did not
Oh,
care.
I
But
see.
it doesn't matter. I dabbled in it essentially. It's definitely fun. I hugely respect people who make that, their main
Yeah.
commitment, because it is not easy whatsoever. People like to think it's lazy. No, there are so many secrets to it, so much to get into. But yeah, it's definitely a respectful art.
Yeah, it's interesting to see because I think Bumpy Jake has like a good amount of experience, or at least like some experience in creating content in some sort of form. And like even with like people like Icy even and Atex even, like
Yeah.
they have at least like some sort of background in content creation. You don't even have anything like anywhere. Like I would have never known that you made content at all if you didn't say anything.
Yep. That's
How
part of
did you
self-branding.
manage? Yeah, how did you manage to get yourself into like more specifically, how did you manage to get yourself into those spots without, making content consistently at any point really?
That's the beautiful part about self-branding. And it's actually, and I'm going to be real with you, it's going to be another cheesy but true thing. At the end of the day, you need to be good at pretending when you're self-branding, okay? Because at the end of the day, what matters is not about if you made videos before, if you've been part of communities before. At the end of the day, that shit goes later. What comes first is defining who you are, make a standard, make it consistent, and make a brand. I make events. I'm going to say that. I'm always going to say that for a while. MC Prom, since then, I have considered myself an event manager, maybe even a creative director, but I'm an events guy. And that's how I've been known, because at the end of the day, on MC Prom, no one knew who the fuck I was, but people love the idea. And they'll be in love with the idea first, but then once they see all these ideas connected to you, they'll start being in love with you at the end of the day, because they keep seeing your face in places that are very familiar in very cool events, for example, at least specifically for events, right? They'll remember at the end of the day, they'll know who to
Yeah.
go to when you have a fun time and you want to go record another fun time again with your friends. And so it really is just about self-branding, making sure,
Hmm.
you're aware of what you do, letting people know, having a banner, having consistent art, having a consistent bio, making sure that people, when they look at your profile, they think, wow, this guy must know something. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about the looks at the end of the day in terms of getting clients and, branding and self-awareness. So you don't really need a YouTube channel for that in all seriousness. It's kind of surprising, but you literally
Hmm.
could just be that Twitter guy who makes events and people will know. They'll remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, clearly that strategy has worked because in the beginning of this podcast, Taylor was talking about how they saw you in a bunch
Oh
of
yeah.
projects
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
well,
that one's interesting because that may not be as common for many people. I just tend to love getting involved with projects because I'm fortunate enough to be branded enough so that it, how do I describe this? It's more that because if I really was self-branded very well publicly, I think I would at least have 10,000 Twitter followers at this rate because
Mhm.
a lot of the viewer counts, especially for MC Prompt 2, I'll have to tell you some metrics. I think about 150,000 people watch that concurrently, like in total, which is a lot of
wow.
people. And if you think about that, like, wow, yeah, like if you have events like that all the time, like, why don't you have that many followers? And it's not really about followers or numbers to me. It actually, and surprisingly, just some advice that you wouldn't get for certain industries. It's about being aware of who you are in the private community. And what do I mean by
Mhm.
private community? I'm talking about the actual creators, that the people that do the same stuff you do. Fellow content creators, this works for content creation too. Fellow event organizers, people who own studios and do this stuff, brands who want these things to be made, you need to make yourself known in that community because that's where it matters. If you check my followers, 1,500, whatever, I guess that's pretty good. But you look at actually who's following me, and you see big people like Mike, Ben Spoons. You see
Mhm.
people that come from no names, that come from Dot Wave, these tycoons. It's actually incredible. I'm very grateful that they follow me, to be honest. But overall, it's just about branding yourself to who you need to brand to. I
Yeah.
only want to be popular to the people that need to know me. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
that really is what it's about. Because then you can easily reach out to people and you can say, "Hey, I want to take a shot at your project. Let me in, and see what I can do." And that's exactly how I got into these all these projects because at the end of the day, it's just about reaching out, shooting your shot, and just making sure that the people who know you are the people you need, to know you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Fair enough.
something I've been seeing, you're good at marketing and like presenting, right? Did you just
That's
like
some degree.
where did you learn that?
It's honestly interesting because I didn't really learn that via traditional means through classes or all. Will was a great help at first. I
Mhm.
kind of got the impression on how to get better marketing strategies from him. Obviously, there's a ton of research you can do on YouTube, and at the end of the day, in the internet, you can learn anything, which is just beautiful.
Yeah.
But obviously, aside from the commonsensical things like metrics, SEO, things like that, you really want to just sit down, especially for beginners, because they really need to listen to this when they're trying to get into marketing. Sit down and actually pretend that you're like some nobody that does not give a shit about what's on Twitter. Like, literally sit down and think about why the hell, while scrolling through my Twitter feed, why the hell would I hit on your tweet? Why the hell would I stop scrolling to see what you have to show me? You really
Yeah.
need to be strict on yourself in a way and think, what makes your thing not just unique, even less about that, just more appealing? What actually
Mhm.
stops someone from their absolute attention depraved scrolling through Twitter and just lets them click on your tweet? And it's a hard one. It's a hard question. But I think, honestly, if you put yourself in that perspective and you start to notice your own trends, because sometimes I scroll on Twitter, aimlessly, but some things make me stop. Like a really cool art that's colorful, or a
Mhm.
meme, or maybe a certain caption that says something completely out of whack. I'll stay there and I'll watch it, and I'll notice that, that tweet has some high numbers. And so I think really just following that process and being strict on
Yeah.
yourself and really putting yourself in the shoes of a viewer who does not care, that is important.
Definitely, yeah. You've been involved in like so many different events.
Yeah.
Like, of course, from like SMP on air, of course, that was like one I remember from a long time ago that I didn't even
Old
know you were
age.
involved. Yeah, one
I
that
developed
I
the
didn't
damn
even know
thing.
that you were involved in that, but like
Yep.
you were just there. The Squid
Yeah.
Game event, Crafty Awards, um, what else? The MC Prom that literally just happened, TubNet. Out of everything that you have done, all of the events, SMPs, like anything in the community, what has been your favorite event that like project that you've done?
My favorite event that I've done, or just in general?
Just in general, I guess.
I would say that's a tough one because it really depends on the category, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's this amazing custom network race going on right now. And to me, right now, publicly, it is MCCI versus TubNet. Am I correct?
Yeah, somewhat, yeah.
And so, in a way, I rather keep that race over there because, to be honest, everybody's got their pros and cons. And even being a TubNet, I can see kind of a nice perspective on how things are going. And it's a really interesting question to me because it's actually like makes me sit down and think like, wow, because I'm involved in all these projects, I kind of know what's up in the industry. I kind of actually know what's going on, what's going to be
Yeah.
released, and
Oh.
with the state of things essentially, like collaboratively. It's been so interesting to see how technologically advanced that things have become ever since MC Prom. I mean, you see MCCI, you never would have expected it. Like literally the
Mm-hmm.
best thing in a year ago was like Hypixel Bed Wars. People were into that. And now they're into these crazy
Yeah.
game modes that are just insanely developed, just absolutely different games in general. It's just so amazing to see how everyone has done that. And I have to give credit to that because you know what? Everybody has done such a good job in the event industry. I think together we're raising the stakes and starting to, breach into the more branding community where this can be funded and this could be just a viable thing for creators. This is going to be a new norm. And it's honestly so, so nice to see. But to answer your question, I mean, a favorite's hard to pick. I'm not going to lie. I think I honestly,
Mm-hmm.
excluding networks, kind of like
Yeah.
Pride Games. That's it. Yeah.
Nice.
Pride Games. It was between Pride Games and MC Prom, just because
Fair
not
enough,
really a
yeah.
thing where I just created it. It's just because honestly, it was fun to play. I mean, that's
Yeah.
all I could say about it. There's a lot of amazing events out there that have done very well, but personally, to me, Pride Games was so well done in its game mode. It made a bunch of strides in charity, which was
Mm-hmm.
amazing to see. The community was so nice. There was so much content. And you know what? It was just generally a nice thing to be a part of, and it was very well branded. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely my favorite.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I didn't even notice you were involved with that. I heard about it, but one project we haven't talked about, which I'm surprised we haven't, is
Oh yeah.
the Squid Game event. Yeah, how's
Oh,
it like doing all of that?
that I just have to use that for my portfolio a lot because here's the thing: the marketing there was well done, but overall, I think it got 10 times boosted because it was a trend. It was a trendy event. And this is actually an interesting topic I want to get into before I describe that event. And this is especially advice for newer event creators. Listen, following trends, genius idea for marketing, genius idea for just in general putting your name out there. But at the end of the day, you need to be very, very, very careful because at the end of the day, trends die very fast. And what is that going to do? That's going to pressure you to make the event faster, and it's going to make you make mistakes likely. Because honestly, with such a constrict timeline for such an advanced idea, it would be incredible if you can pull it off before the trend dies. And so that event was actually one of my most stressful projects I've ever had. That event literally like set the limit in terms of just how much work we were supposed to do. All of us got crunched. It was very, very, very tedious. But at the end of the day, I was not too disappointed by the results. There were a ton of like bugs and issues at first, but at least it ran. But overall, it was just a bunch of lessons learned overall. I think that event really taught me that at the end of the day, you can't really have all the cookies in the jar, if that makes sense. You know, you really have to balance things out. You need to be careful. It's not worth following a trend if it means running a scuffed event. I think the event looked phenomenal aesthetically, but at the end of the day, the gameplay needs some work. It needs some time in the oven before it ran out. And obviously, working through the Christmas season was not fun. And yeah, I mean, it was just definitely a tough event to do. But overall, it did set a precedent for just how quality should be. And just overall, it was a great lesson for me in terms of team management on how to just like pace things, because I was still an amateur back then. And you know what? That event was stressful.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
That moves into my whole... I wanted to talk about how do you handle the whole failing aspect of making events.
I have failed... Let me think. Depends what you think. Yeah, okay. I have failed 3 times throughout my event career. There have been 2 events that particularly are worse, and 1 event that I didn't even run at all. Like, at all. And I'll list them now. Pride Games... Pride CTF is what it was called. We had an event called Pride CTF, which was kind of a rendition of Pride Games back then. This was like about a year ago as well. And this was right after Crafties. I was thinking, you know, why not for the Pride Month celebrate something amazing? Again, with the same lesson, it technically is a trend to try to make an event in Pride Month. We started at the beginning of the month, and we were supposed to end by the end of the month because, again, it was still Pride Month. It made sense. But to give ourselves 1 month for something that was actually technologically advanced, even though it was 1 game mode, was a bad idea. And so it was actually so bad that people started joining, and the server would crash immediately once we started the game because there were 150 players, which was way over than we should have done. There were 25 teams, which was like incredible. It was supposed to be a tournament bracket system for Capture the Flag. And essentially, the way it would work is that it would generate a world for each team. And that, with 150 players, was just not a good idea. Wasn't thought out perfectly. And obviously, with the rush and crunch, it was just not a great event. And so, actually, that was the first and hopefully only ever event I had to straight up make an administrative decision to just shut down completely. You know, people joined the server, and it was gone. But the incredible part about the community, they're so wholesome, is that we actually had a $1,500 goal for the Trevor Foundation, or Trevor Project, I believe. And during the few minutes that this event was not working, we actually hit that goal, which was incredible. That's at the very least, it was kind of bittersweet news. Yeah, we can't run the event. Not well done. Lessons learned. But hey, we got that donation. We contributed, and it was definitely overall a nice thing. I never actually reran that due to a lot of circumstances involving just getting into other projects, and honestly, more of a lost cause there. But again, it's more of a point I wanted to lead into, that honestly, don't be afraid of failing. It's going to suck. You're going to feel absolutely terrible. Unfortunately, I have to be real with that. Like, you will feel terrible. I felt so bad after Pride CTF ran down. I had to like just go in my bed and like sulk for 3 hours. It was not great. But overall, don't be too afraid of it, because at the end of the day, it's likely it'll happen. And these are just learning crutches at the end of the day. You know, you'll get through it. You'll make, you know, corrections in the future, and you'll make it much better. So yeah, Pride CTF was one. The other one was Squid Game, because again, more of a rushed kind of deal. Big lesson there, as you can tell, is a big trend of rushing. Just really try to make sure you get that timeline in there. It does happen for multiple reasons, but Squid Game had a couple games that were completely broken. which was funny for
Oh.
content. I'm not gonna lie, people still had fun, but it was just not a
Mhm.
great look overall. Definitely damages your brand, so careful there. And then honestly, this recent MC Prom, it was just a dumb, very small but dumb decision to allow minion balloons on 150 players. A lot funnier than the rest of the mistakes for sure. But you have to think out these things a lot. It's very hard to get 150 testers in one server. So to be
Yeah.
fair, there wasn't too much to counter with that. But you definitely just need to think things out and be patient. But don't feel too bad either, because you know what? You're human. The entire staff team is human. There's only going to be so much perfection you can put into an event. Don't expect too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
totally.
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, well, yeah, that was great. Yeah, on a different note, you said earlier you were mentioning MCCI and TubNet. A lot of
Yeah.
people have been saying that those two servers will end up like really hurting or killing Hypixel off. What is your take on that as someone so involved in the community with different like networks and events?
All right, so you know that meme where a parent is like holding a child in the pool and they're all happy, and then there's a child on the left that's like drowning, and then there's
Yeah.
another meme where like someone is like underwater and dead.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
the guy underwater and dead is Mineplex, okay? The guy that's
Oh.
drowning is Hypixel, and this new child that's like being taken care of, that's MCCI and TubNet. I 100% agree. At the end of the day, Hypixel has met its time. At the end of the day,
Ooh.
it will always be alive, always be a successful business, but it will definitely drop off because I think slowly and surely a new player base and obviously just the new generations of humans in general playing video games will join Minecraft on recent versions, and they'll be used to that. And you know what? It's actually kind of interesting to think about, but you know what? One day down the line, there are going to be people who are nostalgic about the version 1.19, and that's crazy to think about to me, you know?
Yeah.
And so really it's just about the new generation of Minecraft, the new generation of people coming in. But Hypixel was honestly bound to die in that case because it is just an old network. And it's still fun, and there's still respect to it, and
Yeah.
there's still lots of nostalgia, at least for me. And it was definitely a great network, and it will still be great. But
Mhm.
in terms of just where the community is looking at, they deservingly should be looking straight at MCCI and TubNet because those are
Yeah.
going to be the new networks. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised a couple years down the line if things go well, they actually have higher player counts. That would be crazy, but honestly, yeah, I can see that happening.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, totally.
Do you think that TubNet and what was it, MCC Island will ever like clash themselves, trying to be like the most popular one?
Well, with the industry, it's honestly to me, I'm not a very competitive spirit. I think it's nice to have competition, but to me, it's always good news to see all of these networks coming out because at the end of the day, what the whole point of this event industry and this custom Minecraft experience industry is to me is about setting a new standard. And if you
Mhm.
set a new standard that's as high as MCCI or TubNet, and you see that you can make all these things in fucking Minecraft almost as good
Yeah.
as Roblox in terms of creative control, brands will see that. And big people will see that and they'll say, wait, maybe we should consider Minecraft. Maybe we should start putting things in there. Maybe we should start
Mhm.
moving to Minecraft for things like that. I think that's just a wonderful thing for everyone. So it's a huge win-win, these amazing projects coming out. But yeah, I think there is an unspoken competition between them. After like talking to the staff team about it all, honestly, they don't really see it that way. They don't care too much, but they kind of do. They really kind of just see it as, hey, what are they doing right? What are we doing wrong? Let's fix it. And
Yeah.
MCCI does the same thing. It's totally just a normal and healthy, just, competition at the end of the day, right? No,
Mhm.
nothing toxic at all. But the players do like to make a lot of comparisons, so it's definitely funny. But overall, it's just a very, very interesting, clash of just quality, and it's just incredible to me. To me, it's all good news. See all these cool
Mhm.
things come out. I'm grateful that the two of them are like, setting each other to a higher standard. So it's nice.
Yeah. Man, I was really hoping that you would just like as a TubNet staff member just being like, fuck MCCI, how dare just go out.
Yeah,
No.
reality tends to be more boring, but
We live
hey,
for
I
the
think one of the staff
drama.
members is like that. I won't name anyone, but
Oh,
they're like,
damn.
"Yo, fuck
Wait.
this shit. We're way
Oh.
better." It's so funny, but yeah,
That's
no.
great.
Overall, he's just joking, but yeah, overall, we're just happy to see all these changes because you know what? It just means more for us, to be honest, in terms of reference and just
Of
seeing where we
course.
can go. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. Tiny, do you have any other thoughts or can we head into the community questions?
No, I think we should go to the community questions now.
Definitely. All right.
Common
Well,
questions.
yeah, every single week we ask the community of the content creator coming on the podcast and also the creator aspect community to ask some questions for our guest. This week we have a few for you, Argon. All right. So
Sure.
first one is from Bumpy Jake, the
Oh boy.
the
Oh
legend,
god.
who asked,
Oh,
"What
no.
is your least favorite part about working on events?"
My least favorite. Are you sure that's the question? I'm fairly certain if you go in that tweet, he said
I'm
something
pretty
else.
sure. I'm pretty sure he posted 2, and I'm gonna ignore the other one. I mean, if you want to go for it.
Podcast viewers, don't check out that one. That
Yeah,
is an
no,
Easter
don't check
egg.
it out, don't check
Anyways,
it out.
yeah. So, what is the least favorite part of making Minecraft events? Right. So, to me, it's more. It depends because there are projects out there that you do need timelines for. It's just business.
Mhm.
It's just how it is. And I kind of do hate the concept of rushing anything. It doesn't necessarily you'll have to rush. It doesn't mean that, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of just like constraint and pressure. I think the pressure of making events, whether there's a timeline or not, obviously one that has more, but whatever it is, I think there's just general pressure that you have when creating something. And as basically the date of people joining comes closer, there's definitely a huge fear and nervousness in you, like that actually just hits you like a couple days before, like literally a couple days before MC Prom 2. I was like, yo, 150 people are about to be in this goddamn event server that like maximum had 5 players the entire time. Like that's crazy to me. Like I actually didn't process that until the day of, right? So
Mhm.
it's definitely a terrifying thing. I think overall it's a healthy fear. It's totally, reasonable. It's totally okay. But I do hate it. It's just annoying. One day I want to be confident enough to just be like, yo, we're gonna run this shit and we're gonna go. But it definitely is a scary thing, and it's fair because you know what? You're making something big for tons of honestly big creators coming in one place. It isn't just some streamer reviewing your content. This is a huge committee of the community coming in just to
Yeah.
play on your game. And so yeah, it definitely could get a little nerve-wracking, but aside from that, I kind of love the process. There's definitely going to be mistakes and
Mhm.
struggles, but that part I'm just in love with. So yeah, I definitely would just say it's the fear and pressure, and it's totally
Yeah.
normal, but just annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, well, next question is from Icy. Icy did 2, but I only see one in my notes. Sorry, Icy. What's your advice for those who are stuck being underpaid for Minecraft work?
Oh boy, I see. I know who you're talking about. All right. Anyway, so yeah,
Damn,
no. Overall,
Cla-
Oh no. I'm not gonna call out. For overall, there is definitely, and this is a very important thing to address. There are definitely predatory practices in any business. I think it's really hard to say this is a Minecraft event issue. It's not. This is a industry standard issue. There are editors out there who get underpaid a lot, and they don't even know their worth. And so, really, to just the advice to give you at the end of the day is sit down, compare yourself to great works, and think, you know what? What am I really worth? And most of the time, you're going to come up with a number that is way lower than what it should be. Because you know what? People, they have a hard time, like, pricing themselves sometimes. I've seen it with many artists. I've seen it with many workers. I've seen it so many times. That's why I love when, and I'm fortunate enough to be in this position. When some people tell me a price, I'm like, I'm going to give you $100 more. So yeah, you can go ahead. And they're like, okay. Because honestly, I price people at what they're worth, and that honestly is sad to say that that's actually more of a rare thing. It's actually more of a thing that happens near the top than in the middle. And it's not really
Mhm.
a wealth issue. It's not really oh, I don't have the money, so can you please? Like, it really is just a matter of commitment, and it's a matter of just, I guess being, generally moral. There's a lot
Yeah.
of underpaying that happens in the community because at the end of the day, they like to exploit you.
Mhm.
People are going to take what you offer at the end of the day, though. You need to be able to just be strict and hand down and just say, yo, I've done a
Yeah.
lot for this space. Could I get a little bit more, or I'm out? You know what I mean? You need to basically
Mhm.
just determine your worth and stick with it, because a lot of people, they fall into this trap, and it's just annoying to see. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
totally.
wondering. I was reading when I first read the question. It seemed very specific.
yeah,
Like,
Mhm.
yeah, okay.
well, that's because I have been through that. In
Oh.
fact, I have
Mhm.
only recently not been through that. I have been through so much underpaying. It's incredible. It actually happened with Life SMP, which, by the way, I also developed. And by the way, the owner was also not a great person.
Oh.
But
Oh,
overall, I've been through a lot of just not working with great people. It definitely has been a lesson for me, and unfortunately, a hard one to learn out of. It was a repeated lesson, you know? And it's actually made for really interesting stories, to be fair, so I definitely am more interesting at parties, kind of. Hey, look at my Minecraft event career. But overall, you know, it takes a while, and sure, that's fine, but you really need to remember your worth, because I have been through so much fucked up shit with that, and now that I do know my worth, fortunately, I've set myself a standard, you know, above the community where I can just kind of, you know, price my price. And if they say no, oh, well, that's fine. You know, you're lost, man. I'll just go to Nurse Studio and they hire me and things are good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Simple as that, you know?
Of course.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Fig T is the next one who asked, favorite MC and IRL food?
Oh, favorite what? MC?
Your favorite food in Minecraft and IRL. I'm assuming that's what that means.
Okay. My favorite food in
quirky.
Minecraft. Let's think. Yeah, okay. I'll tell you my worst first. Carrot cake. Why is that in the game? Why is that in the game? That is disgusting.
Carrot
and it's
cake
also
is
my
in
least
Minecraft?
favorite food. Is it? Actually, let me double check this right now.
I was
Don't
about
remember
to
that
say, I
being
was
a
like, I
thing.
do not think I've seen that in Minecraft. Is it?
Oh, never mind. It's not.
You've been spending
Beetroot-
a
Beetroot
lot of
soup.
time.
That's what it was.
Confused.
Beetroot
Oh,
soup. I
okay.
hate
Oh,
that.
fair
It looks
enough.
so ugly. Okay, but overall,
Yeah,
in real
fair
life, carrot cake would be my least favorite. I think my
Really?
best favorite for Minecraft would actually be the cookie. I think that's just a nice thing. You know, you can tame parrots with it.
Fair
I'm pretty
enough.
sure, right? So hey, fuck it. You know, it looks nice. It's absolutely useless. It only feeds you like one hunger bar. Just annoying as hell. But hey, it looks good.
Yeah.
And then for real life, I definitely do love salty foods more than sweet foods, which is interesting. A lot of people love sweet foods, but I'm more of the salty guy, and so I definitely like my meats, like steak, and definitely ramen. I think ramen and steak is a great combination, so that's my top favorite.
Yeah.
What about wings?
Wings? Oh, I love wings too. Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite. I'm not gonna lie, it's more of a combo. But you know, hey, anything that's salty and tasty, that's mine, bro. Like,
Nice.
I'm gonna steal it. So,
All right. Tom Lockwood asked, what is your favorite brand of cassette tapes?
Cassette
brand
tapes.
of cassette tapes. Wow. Thank you, Tom Lockwood. By the way, shout out to Tom Lockwood. He is an amazing render artist. Just such a
Yo,
great
let's
guy. I've
go.
known since the beginning. He's basically come up in this journey with me. He has gone into these professional studios, well paid now. He's found his self-worth. So be like that guy, okay?
Hey. like
But yeah, I
Tom.
don't know what. I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. I don't even listen to cassette tapes. I am a zoomer. Like, I guess I like vinyls. I definitely want to have a vinyl collection one day. So that's related enough, and that's my answer.
Fair enough, yeah.
There you go.
And yeah, our last question is from Adam Dev, who asked, what are your thoughts on cat emojis for marketing?
I'm gonna kill that guy. All right. So,
listen.
I actually know Adam, and there's an ongoing meme in a Dotwave studio, right, for the marketing department, and Icy loves making great captions, and he does a great job with tweets. But sometimes he literally suggests, like, "Hey guys, what if we put a cat emoji next to this? Wouldn't that be cool? How about a cat smirk? I want to put the cat smirk in the goddamn tweet." I'm like, "No, I see. It's ugly and that's weird." And he just does it anyways. He does it anyway. You look at the MC Prom Twitter right now. One of those tweets,
Wait, hold
I
on,
bet,
I'm
has
doing
a
this.
fucking cat emoji. I swear to God, one of them does. It is just vile. It's a terrible habit, and Adam has fallen into the trap of these cat emojis. I am so tired of this. He keeps scrolling. I think it's. Oh God. Oh, I found it. Oh, hell no. Oh, no. Yeah, this looks terrible. Here, I'll link it for you.
I see it. What is that? It's like smirking, and then there's like an
Yeah, there you go.
like a hand pointing down. I hate that. That
Yeah,
makes me
I
feel
hate that too.
uncomfortable. Why?
It made me
Why
feel
is that
uncomfortable. Yeah,
there?
why? I asked the same question, and he's like, "Okay, I won't do it." And he did it anyways.
Is this tweet meant to make me feel uneasy? Like, what is this?
We made a bet. We made a bet that because Icy was so committed to this cat emoji, we made a bet that, hey, if this tweet pops off better than the rest, you owe me like $100 or something. And actually, no, I remember it was actually in the credits tweet, Icy was supposed to be put on the very top, right? and so essentially that was the bet. And obviously it did not pop off because it's just a goddamn cat emoji. And so I was laughing my ass off about that. But yeah, that's my answer.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, editor
that
Jay
ends off the
Keller is gonna make
podcast.
sure
Yeah.
to put the tweet.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's all the questions.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on the podcast, Argon. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Anytime, man. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
invite me some other time. I'm totally down to do these. These are fun.
Totally, yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast, and thank you everyone for watching the podcast. We will be back next week, as always, with another guest and more great stuff. All right, well, see ya.